Hello and welcome to ESL Revolution, everyone. I am your content creator and Professor Dr. B, not a real doctor. Yeah, so that's the caveat on that. Just a nickname. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you. Boy, it has been a really long time since I've made a public video. Been a couple of months probably, if I had to. I don't exactly remember, but it's probably been a couple months since I've done that. So glad to have my Friday afternoons back, just to relax a little bit. Kids are not at home, so it gives me a bit more flexibility to do this. My hope is that Friday afternoon will be a regular occurrence for you by putting out new content. Now, if you are my students, you happen to be watching this, why are you watching this? Go and study. Midterm exams are next week. Come back and watch me again another time. So this is well, as you can see, this is not an ESL video about teaching or learning per se, but just a fun little thing that I like to do in my free time. Jayushigan, that's right. Star Wars: The Old Republic. Star Wars. It has a spot in my heart, I can guarantee. 1977, me, that little 5-year-old boy out there, watching Star Wars for the first time with my dad. Funny story about that. We went to see it. It was probably like, I guess it was probably like, you know, the 7 o'clock show, right? I can even remember the theater was in Etobicoke, Ontario. Yeah, it's like a suburb of Toronto. The theater was across from the Skyline Hotel near the airport. I don't remember the name of the theater offhand. I'm going to have to look it up. And I didn't actually see the entire movie because it was time for bed. So my dad and I went to watch the movie, and we only watched about 30 minutes of it. And then he was like, okay, it's time to go, blah, blah, blah. And I could never understand why he would take me to the 7 o'clock show to watch a movie for only 30 minutes, then have to leave again. And I never watched the entire movie until I was much older. However, that 30 minutes left such a indelible geek nerd imprint on my biology that it's been there ever since. So for any of you Koreans out there, you'd understand this term. Star Wars and me, definitely we have an otaku relationship. I don't, you know, I'm not one of those people that are kind of like know all the nuances and the minutia trivia about the Star Wars world. That's just not me. But certainly Star Wars has a place in my heart for sure. And this game, Star Wars: The Old Republic, this game takes place 1,000 years before Luke Skywalker shows up in the movies. So yeah, so that's kind of where I am. This is what I do in my free time. Now, I've got a special thing for you today. I have picked one of my characters. I actually, this is my favorite class of character to play. This is Basaki. She's an Imperial agent in the Star Wars world. This storyline is actually my favorite storyline, I think, from all of the different classes, both Republic and Imperial. I think this one's my favorite for sure. So what I did was I made an entirely new character. None of the storyline, none of the class story has been done on this character. However, what I did was there was a double XP event and I didn't want to waste it. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take this newly created operative. You can see I've got another operative down here, Hanayabe. She's my original operative. This is the new one. So she's the red and white. Basaki's the white and red. You see how that works? Opposites then. And I wanted to basically go through the entire story from beginning to end. It's a long story with this character. But I also realized, maybe I should talk a little bit about my character first before I get into the storyline. So this video is kind of an introduction to the class itself, kind of a class a way of describing what the operative is in the world of Star Wars, and also review the gear that I'm using now that she is at level 75, which presently at this video in iteration 6.1.4, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 75 is the current top level to play. So there she is right there. She's got her swoopy hair. I actually bought hair for this just for you because I liked this style better than the generic ones that were going on. I wanted her to have a little flair, a little pizzazz for you as we're going through here. So here we go. As you can see, we're still in the prologue. I haven't done anything at all with the character. That's going to be I'm going to start that on the next video. But this is just an introduction to the character itself. So yeah, here we go. Now I'm hoping that my little video screen that you see my picture in on camera is not going to interfere too much. I don't think it will, because that's going to be the little in-game map anyway, so it shouldn't be an issue. Okay, here we go. Oh, nobody's in guild right now. That's okay. All right, so just do this here. Go to here. Codec. Oh, interesting. I thought maybe... Oh, interesting. Oh, we're going to come up against Keeper. We're going to come up against him. But, yeah, it's not in there. But that's okay. So let me just get over there. So let me just kind of explain what the Imperial Agent is. The Imperial Agent or the operative class, the agent class, is a part of the Imperial military. They are non-Force users, okay? So a Force user would be somebody like a Jedi or a Sith, all right? So Ben Kenobi, Darth Vader as examples of those. This particular class is not a Force user. So if we go back in that first movie with the one that nobody liked with Jar Jar Binks, the midichlorian count would be significantly lower, therefore no Force. So she is a human character. Let's see if I can get her into a little light here. There we go. She is a human, which actually in the lore of Star Wars, aliens were not, like non-humans were not something that the Imperial Empire really liked. They were kind of, well, they were kind of racist. And so I have kept the Imperial Agent kind of true to the lore. However, I did choose a female agent rather than a male agent, because I did feel like the gender, choosing the gender does matter. And for my agents, all three of my agents are females. Oh, hello. Wow, that was weird right across the screen. So that's a little bit about that. Now, she is a part of the military. So she's in that military hierarchy, but she's working in intelligence. So think of her almost like a CIA operative, but for the Empire, okay, for the Imperial side. So that's a little bit about her. Now, let me just open up my character sheet here. Now there are 3 classes that you can play, or 3 streams that you can play, and I'll just bring those up here. Presently, right now, I'm running the lethality proficiency. It's called a proficiency. So I'm running the lethality proficiency. If I click here, you can see that there are 2 others. There's a medicine and a concealment. Concealment is definitely more along the PvP type proficiency. Stealthy, stabby. Yeah, it's pretty cool actually if you play PvP. Medicine is both PvE, or player versus environment, or PvP, player versus player. Now, I do have, if I look at my inventory, I am actually putting together right here a second set of gear specifically for the medicine line. That is not yet complete. So I'm not going to touch on that right now, but when it is, I will make a second video to kind of detail the stats for that particular class. So in terms of, first of all, let me caveat this by saying that I am by no means the best operative. I am kind of middle of the road. I just enjoy the class for its own sake. And there are definitely players that are much, much better than I am. But let me first just kind of review some of the stats. These are stats. As you're leveling your character, you don't really need to worry about them all that much. But once you are at level 75, you should be definitely kind of going through that min-max and trying to get your numbers just as right as you possibly can. Now, the first one is accuracy. Now, accuracy basically means that if I'm attacking an NPC, a non-player, that boss, that other thing that I'm attacking is going to have a certain level of resistance. And by having 110% rather than just 100% resistance, it allows me to bypass that resistance that they have kind of built into the RNG within that particular mob that I am fighting. And so that's why for any DPS class, which this is, DPS is damage per second, having that is exceptionally good. So you can see here by the little note, chance that your technological attacks will affect the target. Accuracy over 100% reduces the target's resistance. So you can have up to 100%, and that's great, but if you want to really make sure that your attacks are hitting the player, are hitting the mob that you want to hit properly without missing them or without being evaded, having 110% is definitely a good thing. You can see that I'm slightly over, but in reality it makes no difference. So get to 110%, you'll be golden. Now, the other thing that I have here is something called alacrity. Now, alacrity allows for certain skills to go off faster, which means that as a DPS character, instead of, let's say, instead of having 5 ticks of damage, I now have 6 ticks of damage. So it just provides a little bit extra as you are going through your damage. My critical chance is at 42%, and my crit multiplier is almost at 70%. So crit chance is the chance that I will do critical damage or critical healing. That means that, let's say, this is the baseline damage. Okay, this is my consistent damage. If I crit, or if I have a critical hit, it means I'm doing this much damage on that 1 tick of damage. So it gives me a little bit of extra. And at 42%, that means on average, I would be hitting basically 4 in 10 of my hits of damage should be critical. So it will give me a 40% boost to my damage. Now, crit multiplier, on the other hand, is critical hits or heals increase damage done or health restored by this percentage. So this means that if I crit, that means I'm going to crit at nearly 70% higher than what should normally be. So those crits can be particularly nice, heavy hitting crits, up 20, 25,000 K. So, or even more. So those are, those are really, really good, especially when you're healing on the operative. Having those big critical hits, ooh, those are nice. When you see those nice big numbers, 35,000 or something like that, you just see those and you're like, oh, that's awesome. Now, in terms of my, in terms of my gear, I'm running 6 pieces of something called the Tactician's set. Now, this gives me, you can see down here in the drop-down menu, with 2 pieces, 1, 2, it gives me 2% to mastery, which is this statistic right here. It gives me a tactical advantage. Gaining a tactical advantage increases your crit chance by 10% for 10 seconds. This effect can only occur once every 18 seconds. In addition, tactical overdrive resets the cooldown of sever tendon and toxic scan. So that's a lot of stuff. I would actually recommend just going in and just reviewing those things, just so I can keep this video a bit shorter. But basically, tactical advantage is a nice little skill. You're going to get a little icon. You're going to get a little icon, a little buff right here that actually has a 1, 2, or 3, and that's the number. So let me just hit this one here and see if I can get one to proc for me. Hopefully I can. That's the power surge. I'm not sure if this is going to... Because I'm not in combat, it might not happen. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But that's okay. Don't worry about it. And don't worry about those other things there. Essentially, those tactical advantages will allow you to use certain skills, and they don't require power. So it actually is really nice to keep your power, your energy reserves at a much higher level. The last one, tactical advantage, gets an additional stack. Having a tactical advantage increases your damage and healing by 5%. So when I get a stack on my buff bar, I can get I think it's 3 instead of it's 2 instead of 3, or something like that, or 3 instead of 4, depending on what my passives are. So those can be very, very nice. Now, how am I geared out here? So that's my main gear. I have the Amplified Champion's headgear. The reason I'm doing this is to give me, you can see I've got amplifiers on here, and every piece, you can see every piece that I have here has amplifiers on it. Some of those are crafting amplifiers to kind of boost my crafting on this character. Others are related specifically to my damage. And my damage, I'm using periodic intensity. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 11%, 12%, 13%, 13, 14. Oh wait, no. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 16. So right now I'm increasing my damage, my periodic damage, by 16%. That means anything that throws a dot. So, for example, corrosive dot, periodic damage. Toxic Blast, periodic damage. Corrosive Grenade, periodic damage. Corrosive... is that periodic damage? Yes. Corrosive Assault, periodic damage. Noxious Knives, periodic damage. So a lot of the main skills that I'm using are actually skills that provide damage over time, and those with the periodic with that periodic intensity, that damage is going to increase even more by 16%. Now down here I do have several different these are tacticals. I have 4 tacticals. The first one is Synox Shots. Toxic Blast does 75% more damage whenever Toxic Blast critically hits, and it provides 2 energy back. So that's my go-to. This one here, Diagnostic Probes, that's for when I'm actually healing. Life Warden, this is a self-heal. You can swap out, throw that on, swap back out. It has its advantages. And the last one is Viral Elements. This one is a dot spreader, which means that if I'm running a dot on one character and one mob and I have this active, I can use another skill to spread that damage over across a much wider area and start having ticks, start having ticks going off all over the place. So it's a nice little one to have. Now I'm not a theory crafter by any stretch, but a lot of what I have here is based on several different people out there who create these sorts of things. So I'd like to do just a big shout out to Volk, who's one website that I look at, and the other one is Merlin. I also look at both of those and compare contrast between the two and see what I think would best fit for me. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the lethality, the lethality operative, and yeah, we're at 22 and a half minutes here. So I think I'm going to finish up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to see about then putting together my first storyline. Yay! My first storyline video. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck. I will have an operative healer video coming out soon, but my gear is not quite set up yet, so I want to wait for those to happen. All right, thanks very much, everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye. Take care. From Star Wars: The Old Republic.